So please welcome Ewa Palarczyk, Executive Director of Green Project Management EMEA, the company responsible on behalf of GPM Global for the development of sustainable project management in Europe, Middle East, and Africa. Ewa consulting company, consultant, trainer, and academic lecturer. She is an expert in strategy and implementation and project portfolio management, confirmed by many years of experience and multiple certificates from different organizations like PMI, IPMA, and GPM. Besides that, Ewa is holding an award of the best PMO in Poland. Today, Ewa is going to introduce the methodology and standards helpful for PMOs for implementing the principles of sustainable development into portfolios and projects with her topic, Sustainable Project Management, Inevitable Future of PMOs. Dear Ewa, welcome on stage. Good to have you here.
Thank you, Edita, very much. Thank you for such a nice introduction, and thank you for inviting me here and giving an opportunity to share about things which I truly believe and which I think are important to all of us in terms of our work, in terms of our private life, in terms of our society, planet, and creating value. Here you can see a paraphrase of Parker's proverb, but that is something what I really think that sustainability and integration of sustainability into project management is something that we absolutely must do. If we don't do this now, for sure it will be too late in the near future. What is a sustainability? Very often people think in terms of sustainability as about taking care about environment. So all those ecological issues. Of course, that is an important part of being sustainable. I will give you the proper definition of sustainable development and then say how I and how GPM understands this definition. So sustainable development is a way of farming in which meeting the needs of the present will not reduce the chances of meeting the needs of future generations. For me particularly, this means a huge responsibility and a huge impact of what I do and how I do. Me, myself, but also by my projects, how my projects, their products, their deliverables, project processes, how that all impacts, of course, environment, of course, society, so in general, our planet, but also the key issue of sustainability is how this creates value. We want to be sustainable. We want to manage companies in a sustainable way. We want to manage projects in a sustainable way so that they are focused on creating value. They are focused on benefits, on results. We think in a long term, not a short-term planning. Yeah? We keep strategic way of thinking in order to create value. That is why we should reduce the waste that we produce or reduce the number of resources that we use for the projects in a long-term value calculation. I don't want to scare you or threat you at the beginning. Although a few years ago, many people underestimated or even neglected the fact that humankind has a terrific impact on our climate. Right now, we are in the situation that scientific consensus is clear. It means that the discussion is no longer, is this happening? But it has shifted into the question, when will this happen? And how bad will it be? We actually know, we see them all around, that catastrophic changes are just around the corner. Either we live in Australia or America or here in Europe. What is the biggest challenge that the governments, that international organizations are facing is to ensure that the global temperature does not increase by an additional 1.5 degrees Celsius. And what does it mean when we push, if we don't stop pushing the climate system to further extremes? What will be the costs? You can imagine that droughts can cut off water supplies from hundreds of millions of farmers, as well as those that feed global supply chains. What can cause deadly heat and sea level rises? It will render whole regions from the global map. That will lead to, like we call it, climate refugees, poverty, and more pandemics. So what is the problem and what is the sustainability in this system? Sustainability became such a buzzword that so many of us are using, not thinking exactly what sustainable means. What we as GPM teach and explain is that being sustainable means to create value. But looking at this graph, you can see that sustainability means causing no harm, not doing any harm, being neutral. So the problem is that all the conventional business and even, let's say, green initiatives, they are still below. It means still that is still a part of degenerating system. So what we should focus, not only to be sustainable, but to regenerate what we have already depleted. What I want to share and what makes me really happy is how people changed their mind on sustainability and problems of our planet. These are the brand new insights into sustainable project management carried out by GPM, a huge research initiatives. These have not been published yet because we have just completed that in September this year. But you can see that we have asked 33,000, more than 33,000 of participants from 103 countries, 30 industry, 28 different fields about how they perceive different aspects of sustainability and project management. Just to show you the industry breakdown, age range, top responding nations and roles. So you can see that most of them were project managers, program managers, portfolio managers, and consultants and executives, mostly from consulting and strategy, education, engineering, and IT and construction region. And how those people see sustainability and project management. 97% believe projects and project management are integral to sustainable development. 99% of program and portfolio managers. And when you look into the group of project managers under the age of 35, you got 100%. That is the number that believes the profession of project management is not doing enough to combat climate change. That is 100% also among program and portfolio managers and 75% among executives. Not doing enough. That's the perception. And how many of them, how many projects were under the impact of climate change? Again, 38% stated that extreme weather events such as flash floods, wildfires, sea level rise, as a direct impact from climate change, impacted their project work. In the field of construction, 54%, IT 33%, engineering 23%. It is even worse among program and portfolio managers and executives. It means roughly half of the projects were under the impact of climate change. Well, even for those who neglect, who underestimate, who don't trust the numbers, who don't trust scientific research and surveys, fortunately, I can say that either they won't or not. International bodies, governments see the negative impact of humankind on climate change and see how urgent it is to start acting. I have just picked a few regulations that will put on projects, project funding, project reporting, and all our operations, new rules, new obligations on how we manage our projects. Starting from, just for the European Union, Paris Agreement, European Union Green Deal, Fit for 55. These are large packages of new regulations which will force companies to fit, to obey and report how they impact on society and on environment. When you look into EU taxonomy, if you want to get some funds for your projects, you will have to report what is the percent you spend or earn from initiatives that support environment, that support societies. There are drafts of reporting regulations. There are recommendations for management boards, supervisory boards in companies on how they should assure that the companies are managed in a sustainable way. So, in this new world that is coming, what are the challenges of sustainable development and PMOs? So, on one hand, when there is a strategy, there is a portfolio of projects, PMO must assure that they are in line with SDGs. SDGs are Sustainable Development Goals defined by United Nations. How they support SDGs so that then the company can prove, can report, can see how sustainable overall it is. Another challenge is to comply to all those new regulations. On previous slide, that was just a brief, very short outlook on the new regulations. There are many, many inside of them. Another challenge is the common lack of knowledge of methodologies and standards on how to implement sustainability into projects. And after all, how to gain a sustainable competitive advantage, how to create value, how to mitigate risks. Because just referring to what I've said at the beginning, this is not only the method to take care of environment, to take care about people and society, but to create value, to create competitive advantage. When you look into the standards, taking the new edition of PMI's PMBOK, or when you look into IPMA, either individual competence baseline or project excellence baseline, all of them, and also other standards, say that sustainability is important. Here exactly you can see that a holistic view of stewardship considers financial, social, technical, and sustainable environmental awareness. It is said that this is important, but nobody tells you how to do that. So now here comes the GPM. What is the GPM approach and how it fits into a project? GPM, abbreviation of Green Project Management, is the author of the method and the standard that tells you how to integrate sustainability into project, into portfolio of the projects. So as you can see, you can use sustainable methods, that is GPMs P5 and PRISM. That is, PRISM is an abbreviation of Projects Integrating Sustainable Methods, so that you modify the first phase of the project, you modify the approach to make sure that is in line with corporate strategy, and that corporate strategy incorporates sustainable development goals and impact on environment and on society. Then you know how to manage a project in a sustainable way. It changes your look on the outcome. You don't stop thinking about the project when you produce the product. There is a much longer term of how the product is being used and reused. You can assess the project and say how much, how sustainable it is. You got your monetary benefits, you got sustainability benefits, you got benefits for people, planet, and prosperity. And of course, you support sustainable development goals. Most of the project management methods take a linear approach. There is a typical project management process, project life cycle. When you look on our project, on our approach of GPM approach, we close the loop. It's not a waterfall diagram. The way we see project is that they are cyclical. From a practical standpoint, we are embedding sustainable practices using P5, that is our standard, and then the architecture is designed to be cradle to cradle, not from cradle to the grave. All other method is saying from cradle to grave. We say from cradle to cradle. Project does not end, and closure is not when we deliver the product. So we are thinking in a long term on how the project delivers benefits after the closure, and how some of the products can be reused again in projects. This means that the thinking, the GPM thinking on project management must be a systems thinking. So the idea is that the sustainable development is in the middle, is a common part of finance. So how do we create value, how we deliver profit on people, how we impact on society, on our team, on environment, and we think about it in terms of products and processes impacts. Where can PMO contribute? When you think about a company, there is strategy level, business as usual, and project perspective. So especially on strategy and project perspective level, PMO can have a huge contribution, huge impact on how to implement sustainability into portfolio definition, into managing portfolio, into how to prioritize projects in a portfolio, and then how to achieve monitoring and reporting that is complying with ESG reporting standards. And in terms of the projects, again, it supports monitoring and control and reporting, but it supports that the projects are sustainable and they are managed in a sustainable way. So the role of the PMO, just to structurize that. So on the strategy level, it can show how to incorporate sustainability goals into portfolio, into strategy, using the P5 standard. To understand expectations and common language with CSR, usually they don't speak the same language, can contribute to process change on the portfolio and program and project management level, again using P5 standard and GPM methodology, can put a huge impact on education, knowledge and experience, and be in line with the new regulations on ESG reporting. Just what I want to invite you. If you want to learn more, just go to greenprojectmanagement.org. You can find the P5 standard and download it for free. Just to learn more how to integrate sustainability into project management. There is also a handbook which should give you a lot of knowledge on how to do that. Thank you very much. I hope that, well, that was a topic that I could talk hours and hours because I'm so passionate about that. But Edita just gave me 25 minutes. So thank you very much.
Thank you, dear Ewa. Thank you, dear Ewa. Really great insights. And wow, what are those numbers? Doing not enough, right? It's great call for start acting now. And yeah, based on that, what would you recommend from your perspective? What are those most important tips? How to start acting now?
How to start? There are 3 levels of starting to act. The first level, in my opinion, is to learn more, to increase skills and competences. Very often when I talk to project managers on PMO, they know nothing or almost nothing on sustainability. Or when I talk to people from CSR, they know a lot about ESG, but they don't know anything on, or very little, on project management challenges and PMO challenges. So first of all is just to help them communicate. The third area are top executives, so that they can understand that CSR and ESG is not another functional strategy, but this should be a part of corporate strategy, so that create a common language, a common sense of understanding on what we want to achieve, what we want to do. That is the first step. The second one, what is really important is to stop thinking about sustainability only in terms of environment and social impact. This is about creating value. This is not only ecology. We don't plant the trees just to say that we are green. That is something rather like a greenwashing, although this is of course important. But being sustainable means creating value in the long term. Then learning about methods, learning about tools, and adjusting them. That's very easy to adjust those methods into project management and then into strategy and portfolio management. These are the key steps in my opinion.
Great, thanks for sharing. And I guess you kind of answered at least partially a question that were raised by Remigius in our chat window, I see. And actually we have one more question from Sustainability Manager Thomas. First of all, he would like to know those key components, key ingredients for sustainable project management. I know you already mentioned something, but just 2 or 3 tips from your perspective, once again.
So looking at the project in a long term. So there is a pre-project phase when we prepare the project. So we should think and analyze it using P5. So what is the impact on environment, on society, and about creating value? Then integrating methods within the project management process. And at the end, we do not close the loop. We do not say that, okay, the product is released, so now our customer can use it. But we think in the long term. We think about creating value and about project benefits in a long term. So how long, how the customer will use it, and then how can we somehow reuse it or reuse part of it. So the term on how we look at the project is much longer. So that is more like a strategy outlook, not a project outlook as we think in a traditional way.
Yeah, it's a journey, in other words, as we understand. Great, and actually our chat is started flooding with questions, but I would like to ask and rephrase Thomas' question, the same Thomas, sustainability manager. Great question. Where would you suggest organizations to start embedding sustainability in their corporate strategies?
This should be embedded in the whole strategy. Very often there is a corporate strategy, and parallelly there is a separate CSR strategy. So what does it mean? On one hand, we have our strategy goals. We have our plans and projects that help us to achieve those strategy goals. And on the other hand, we have CSR strategy, which is quite similar, not always exactly the same as the corporate strategy. And what it means that very often project managers have double reporting. So they make regular project reporting for their PMOs or management board. And on the other hand, they must provide reporting in terms of ESG reporting, in terms of CSR needs. Yeah, that is one thing. Another issue when you have two separate entities is that project managers and PMO, that is very typical, very often they perceive sustainability only as some extra reporting job, something that is not truly necessary, something that is more like PR, marketing, something that, helps the company to look green. So integrating those sustainable goals into strategy should help you to achieve more money, because this is about creating value. If we have an opportunity during the discussion, I can give one or two examples that maybe will be easier. And it helps people to understand that this is not only extra reporting, this is not only marketing, this is not only PR, but the real change that we can do. Yeah.
Great answer. Thank you, Eva. I know that there are multiple not answered questions. Therefore, I would like to invite everyone to keep those questions for November. We have a conference and Eva will be participating in a virtual booth. You will be able to join her and ask in person questions that are left. I'm pretty sure they will get answered.